What'd you think? Wherever you want to go, 49er football related, what'd you think? We'll go back to the phones here in just a second. We wanted to take a moment. This day, obviously, is something that affected everybody. And whatever it is, this is all I want to say about it. Whatever it is that sort of pops to mind for you on 9/11. What is this? Is this 22 years? You
22
said?
years. Yeah.
22 years. All of us, whether you had a direct connect to somebody who was in New York, whether you know someone who had a family member, that's kind of my closest side, a friend whose brother was inside the building and was killed. Whatever your connection, if you don't and you just sat there in tears watching on TV as it all unfolded, it changed our world forever. And we definitely want to take a moment to remember and acknowledge the victims of 9/11, obviously all of the emotion that still surrounds that for everybody still here today. And so thinking of everybody and their emotions in whatever way today affects you on 9/11/23.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, and thank you for sharing that. It's a never forget thing, and 22 years ago, and I have a 22-year-old, and we had flown home from Minnesota 2 days earlier, and there's a picture, one of my favorite pictures of myself, my sister, and my two brothers at Gail's wedding in Minnesota.
Oh, wow.
And the four of us have our arms around each other, and we are all absolutely like heads back laughing. And it was back when you had timestamps on photos. So like you'd send your pictures into Walgreens or whatever, and you'd get them back and they'd have the timestamp on there.
Snapfish.
Yes, and it says 9/8/01 because she got married on September 8th of 01, and the three of us are just dying laughing. And then 3 days later, 9/11 happens, and I was on the air at another radio station in town, and working with Sal Castaneda and Ray Woodson. Some of you may remember Ray Woodson. And I was in Sal's studio down there in China Basin right when the baseball stadium had just opened. It was like, oh, my God. And we're watching on TV as the second plane came in because I was doing morning radio at the time. And it's just one of those things you'll never forget.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. I was doing evening stuff at the time, and therefore it took me forever to even know what the hell was going on because I didn't wake up till 10 in the morning.
Exactly.
I was asleep through all of it. You wake up and turn on the TV, and everybody's already moved past the original story.
Right.
And you're into the reaction mode, and I'm like, what happened?
Sure.
Like, oh, my gosh, right? And we all never forget where we were in that moment. So just, again, whatever this means to you, whatever emotions are coming up for you today. We're thinking about each and every one of you on 9/11. There's some happiness for my life that came later. This is my nephew's birthday. I don't know if he loves that it's on 9/11, but I love.
How old is he?
He's 17 today. So he came 5 years later. But he, as you know, he's my son's best friend. We're very, very close. And so he turned 17 today, and that always gives me a little something to smile about on 9/11. So that's what I got going on today. But anyway, thoughts with everybody there. Let's get back to the phones. 888-957-9570. The Niners win this thing 30-7, and we can tell a lot of us are having a hard time finding something wrong. TJ Watt got loose, and I know you came in, and I hear you. Brock, could you protect yourself, please? There was one play where I audibly yelled, like, just throw it away. Like, get rid of the ball. So that's going to be something that's nerve-wracking to all of us. Did they leave McCaffrey in too long? And I know you said it's not nitpicking, and it's not because your tone is not that something's wrong, but that's a beautiful thing. You come out of that game, and by the way, Kyle Shanahan just announced, this is what I want. This is what I want all year long. People go, oh, right, Super Bowl or bust. No, I want to hear what Kyle just said 16 more times. We have no injuries to report.
Good.
That's the deal. Because if you get that, which you're not going to get, but you get that largely throughout the year, I don't think you're going to have to worry about Super Bowl or bust. I think you're going to be right there at the end. If this team stays healthy, they're that good.
It should work itself out. The only real, hold your breath moment was when Trent Williams limped off.
Yep.
And I believe he missed one play.
I think one or two, you're right.
Yeah, and then Trent Williams is back on the field. Oh, thank God. Because, he's a veteran. And when you see a big offensive lineman, a surefire Hall of Famer, a possible first ballot Hall of Famer, and when he limps off, in game 1 of the year, you're thinking bad things, especially in light of J.K. Dobbins of the Ravens, who ruptured Achilles. Bye-bye season. His season's over.
Bye-bye career. I mean,
as a running back, right?
Well, and
he's like 28.
But it's his second one.
Oh, it is. Okay.
And I think the first one was ACL, but this is Klay Thompson. It's Klay Thompson all over again.
Man.
And he's a young running back. And so, anyway, not to interrupt you, sorry. But
no. That's about all I had. In terms of like, when you're watching any of these games and you see one of your favorite players or a very important player go off the field, you're immediately thinking, oh no.
Right.
And then to have Trent come back, you're, okay, good. It's a relief. But to have them get through an entire football game of tackle football against Pittsburgh, a very physical
Steelers,
team.
Exactly.
You're loving it.
By the way, speaking of injuries, those of you in the fantasy football world, a little bit of a tremor just came from Adam Schefter not too long ago. Chargers head coach Brandon Staley says that running back Austin Eckler is dealing with an ankle injury, and his status for this week is uncertain. And I'd say whenever they say that on a Monday, they're not good. They're not good. They wouldn't say that out loud on a Monday unless they, I feel pretty good that this is going to be something that lasts for a little while. So you Austin Eckler fantasy football team owners, keep an eye on that throughout the week. Let's go to Scott in Marin with Willard and Dibs. Hey, Scott, what you doing?
Yeah, just heading home, man. I just wanted to touch. It really is nothing. It is quibbling because there really wasn't anything to complain about. I mean, the only thing that bothered me out of yesterday was I did think CMC should have been on the bench earlier because his backup is a pretty darn good player. I mean, if it was a big drop-off, I understand. But Mitchell is a player. I think he's a very good running back. But the only other issue that I had yesterday was kickoff return. That guy was pretty close a couple of times to making some big plays. He actually did one out to the 45, I think, on one. And the other issue I wanted to talk about was Brock Purdy. He does pass. He passed the eye test to me last preseason. You see it in the guy. You know it when you see it, and he can make all the throws you need. I mean, that throw he made to Ayuk, Jimmy G doesn't even think about making that throw, and he knew it when he walked to the line of scrimmage. He knew where that ball was going. He was going to Ayuk out there right off the bat. He saw it early. He sees things. You can see it when he comes to the line of scrimmage. He's confident. He's calm. He can make all the throws. He's smart and he's quick. It's always I just watched when you watch Jimmy yesterday and you watch Brock. He's just a tick faster. He's just a tick faster, and he knows where he's going with the ball just a little bit quicker. Jimmy does fine, but he makes those. When the ball's leaving his hands, sometimes you see what happened in the end zone when he threw that.
Right. Scott, thank you so much. I think this is something that it's not too early to go here. I said it earlier. This is Jimmy Garoppolo elevated. Absolutely. For those of you who think that Brock Purdy, you want to call him a game manager, whatever phrase you want to use, and say, oh, he's just like Jimmy. The team is so good around him. He'll be able to win if he's just competent. This is such another, and this is coming from me now, okay? It's coming from me. Mr. Jimmy G, apologist. Captain Save It Jimmy. I'm telling you, this is so much better. It's so much better than Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think what Scott's kind of tapping into, and I always try to describe this, there's not a great way to do it, but as a fan, when your quarterback drops back, I remember this as a kid with Montana and Young. And at times you would feel it with Garcia or a Kaepernick or even a Jimmy, but not all the time. When the quarterback drops back and you're watching on TV and he releases the ball, what's your level of confidence that as the ball is released, something good or at least not something bad is about to be the result? I would say I've already reached a level with Brock that I have not felt. I'm not saying I feel like he's Montana or Young, but the offense averaging over 30 a game since he came in reminds me of that feeling when the ball leaves his hand that something bad isn't about to happen.
Right.
You couldn't do that with Jimmy. you couldn't do that.
Not
with
as
Jimmy.
often. There would be the Jimmy oh no throw.
Right.
And Brock doesn't have that same level of that happening now, and especially with the weapons he has. And it felt yesterday like it was almost preseason with, when you watch the first unit in the preseason, they marched down the field both times that Brock Purdy had drives, and it was a lot of pitch and catch, and guys are open, and the plays are designed perfectly, and they're blocked up well. And then you add in Christian McCaffrey, who didn't see preseason time, and you've got a vaunted running game as well. And you look at this offense right now, and you mentioned no injuries. They are humming, and this offense is clicking. So if you want to call him a game manager, you can. And Sean Salisbury told us on Friday that's not disrespectful.
Right.
That's actually high praise, because that's what your job is to do. And the boss actually shared this on his from the corner office tweet today. It was a quote from our interview with Sean Salisbury saying basically what you just talked about. Brock Purdy is going to be good at getting the ball and getting the offense run appropriately. And that's not a bad thing. You don't have to be a gunslinger or a playmaker or playing hero ball. Just run the damn offense. And that's what he did yesterday.
Yeah, although I would like people to keep an eye on, let's call it what it is, Dibs, the improvisation sensation.
That's a buck.
Keep an eye on the improv of Brock Purdy, because for those of you who think, well, it's dink and it's dunk and it's a great player receiving the ball every time, and so all Brock has to do is not mess up. Well, then how do you explain the improv? How do you explain these plays that are coming out of nowhere? They're not the play sheet. It's not the laminated play sheet. It's not option one. It's not throwing the ball 1 yard past the line of scrimmage. It's him running for a first down or turning left and throwing against his body to an open space and Debo making a fingertip catch. Like, that stuff comes because he's talented. He's a talented football player.
The twirl away yesterday was awesome.
Really good.
He set the defender up. He sat there just long enough to where the defender thought that he was I'm going to get me some Brock. I'm going to get me a big piece of that Brock Purdy. Right. And then whoop, little twirl away, and now he's got all kinds of time.
Yeah, it's really, really good. You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM at HD1 San Francisco. Always live in the free Odyssey app, Twitch, and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. We're taking your calls all afternoon on what'd you think? What'd you think after getting to see the 49ers for real for once this year? 888-957-9570. Chris in Petaluma is next up here on Willard and Dibs. Hey, Chris, what's up?
Hey, gentlemen, how you doing? Good afternoon.
To you as well.
So, I just want to say, man, I am pumped up. The front seven, we have the best front seven in football, by far, okay? And when I saw those guys lining up for the first defensive play from scrimmage, popping around, I was like, hey, the band's back together, baby. Here we go. And I got goosebumps. And, man, when Warner hit when Warner hit the Pride of Antioch, I was like, whoa, we're setting the tempo. So I really think he didn't even come back, Najee. He didn't come back for like the first quarter, first half. I'm not sure.
Well, go ahead, Chris.
So I was like, Dre was all over the place. They were swarming, man. It was like they were back. And then as far as the receivers, real quick, I don't know where it came from. If it was like Debo that brought it, or maybe Wes Welker when he was around. But, man, they come out and they smack. You can't run the football if you can't block like that. If your receivers can't block like that, you can't run the football. And they bring physicality. No receivers in the NFL block like we do. Nobody. And it's just amazing to watch, guys. I'm just pumped up. I know it's the first game, but, man, we are ready. We're on our way, and I don't think we can be stopped as long as Purdy stays healthy. And you know what? Things happen for a reason. We drafted Trey Lance, and hey, that didn't work out. But guess what? It's a wash. We got Purdy. It's over. We're moving forward, and it's a wash, man. It's like,
yeah. Chris, Chris, thanks. I don't think you need to apologize for what you're saying. And to be this excited about what you see, for me, the best stuff in sports can be defined this way. when there's a whole lot of hype and then it meets it.
Yeah.
That's the
Taylor
best.
Swift.
Okay. Or, I mean, look at LeBron. LeBron James, for me, is example one all the time.
A lot of hype.
I mean, my gosh.
He was on the cover of Sports Illustrated when that was a thing as a 16-year-old.
In high school, exactly. And so do you know how difficult that makes things when you have to meet high expectations? You and I, we've talked so much about that word, expectations.
Sure.
It can ruin a meal. It can ruin a movie. It can ruin a concert. If everybody in the world has been like, it's the greatest movie you've ever seen, you got to go see it. It's the greatest movie I've ever seen. You go into that movie and you're like, the bar is through the damn roof.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to meet it. And if it does, oh, man, that's the good stuff. And I think that's what happened with the Niners yesterday. There's been a lot of talk. There's been some rough seas this offseason. But it's an absolute show on the road as far as this roster is concerned. And even going into this game with all that being true, people still were like, let's call them a 2-point favorite. This one's hard.
Right.
You come in and blow that team off of our television sets.
It was a beatdown.
Dude, that is huge hype. And then expectations met and exceeded.
Yeah.
And if you're a fan, why wouldn't you get excited about that?
You should get excited because of exactly the way it played out. And you're right, Mark, because if we talk about big hype and big delivery in week one, the Lions were hyped up and they went to Kansas City to Arrowhead and they beat the defending champions. That was medium hype, and that was, my God, the delivery. And Dallas, what they did to the Giants last night in primetime, that was big hype, and that was massive delivery. Dolphins and Chargers, we expected that game to be a shootout, and it was. And Tua actually outgunned Justin Herbert. That was big delivery. But the Niners, you're supposed to be a Super Bowl favorite, and you go to Pittsburgh, and you took the life from the Steelers. Basically, the only touchdown they got was a hurry-up end of the half. It was a nice drive, but you already were down 20-0 in that game, and that's all you got, Pittsburgh. That was a complete beatdown.
Tua had 466 yards through the air.
Yeah, Tua was awesome.
Oh, my gosh.
Tua was great.
Yeah.
And that was a fun game to watch.
It was
just
really
back
fun.
And forth.
Herbert was fine, but the Chargers actually rushed the ball like crazy. They rushed for 234 yards yesterday.
Yeah. And now Eckler might be out.
Yeah, but Eckler and Kelly both had 16 carries apiece. They went for $117 and 91 yards, respectively. Mm-hmm. When you run the ball like that, oh, my gosh, you should win. You're supposed to win when that happens.
Sure.
That game was wasted.
From the category of great hype and no delivery, Seattle.
Seattle Seahawks.
I mean, my God, Seattle. You got absolutely dominated by the Rams, a team that we all thought might be tanking for Caleb. Maybe not.
I think the all hype failures yesterday. Minnesota, Cincinnati, although that's already been confirmed. I think Burrow doesn't look healthy. He at minimum looks rusty. They started 0-2 last year. I'm not worried about them yet. Minnesota, we know, was a paper tiger anyway.
Sure.
I think they're going to get it handed them this year.
Are they going to lose 11 games by one score just to make things even?
That's what should happen.
Right.
And then the Bears. The Bears still suck. The Bears still suck.
The Bears are who we thought they were.
Be careful. Don't break the mic.
And then let them off the hook. Your mic is the one that breaks all the time.
That's
My
true.
mic is rock solid.
Why do you think I don't touch this thing anymore?
Yeah, good
I don't touch
call.
this thing. And the Bears were not supposed to be there's different levels of hype. The Bears are not supposed to be a playoff team or a division champ.
No, but Jordan Love?
Yeah, they were just supposed to be a lot better. Their defense, it turns out, still stinks. And oh, by the way, if I were a Bear fan, I would be terrified at what I saw from Justin Fields yesterday. And it's not all his fault. I don't know still if it's that the staff will not, dude, take the container off. Let him go. You got to let him cook. And if he can't, he can't. But I don't know if it's the staff or if it's just Justin, but this is year 3. And last year, at the end of the year, it looked like, okay, we're ready. He's ready to go. And you come out this year, you get him weapons. Now you got DJ Moore. You got all this stable of running backs. You come out and look like that, I'd be terrified if I were a Bears fan. that, as you said, they are who we thought they were.
They booed the guy. They were booing in the second half. And I don't think that Justin or Fields rhymes with ooh, so I don't think that they were Fieldsing or Justining.
They're saying boo.
They were booing him.
They're saying boo.
Week 1, and you're booing the poor kid.
Yeah, man. And
Rough.
He apologized in the press conference. When you're doing that in week 1,
yeah,
dude, more and more looking like that draft class was Trevor Lawrence and Trevor Lawrence.
Sure.
As far as the QBs.